In the heart of Germany, ancient legends awaken.
I can't escape her. The Weissfrau is real.
My great-grandmother vanished, just like the others.
The forest called me. I'm its eternal guardian.
There are things here, things that shouldn't be disturbed.
Beware the shadows and the whispers of the past.
David! You are part of this!
Prepare yourself for the horrors hidden in the heart of Germany.
I arrived in the quaint town of Quedlinburg on a crisp autumn afternoon. The cobblestone streets and medieval architecture were like stepping back in time. The town, nestled in the Harz Mountains of Germany, was famous for its well-preserved old town and rich history. As a tourist, I was eager to explore, but I had no idea what sinister secrets lay hidden beneath its picturesque surface. After checking into a small, charming hotel, I decided to take a stroll through the town. The air was fresh, and the leaves crunched under my feet. It wasn't long before I found myself at a local cafe, where I struck up a conversation with an elderly man named Herr Fischer. "Welcome to Quedlinburg," he said with a thick accent. "It's a beautiful town, isn't it?" "It certainly is," I replied. "I'm David, by the way. This place is like something out of a fairy tale."
Herr Fischer chuckled.
"Ah, but not all fairy tales have happy endings. Have you heard of the Weissfrau?" I shook my head. "No, I haven't. Who is she?" His expression darkened. "The Weissfrau is a ghostly apparition, a woman dressed in white. They say she appears to those who are about to die." That evening, I found myself in a local pub, nursing a pint of dark German beer. The atmosphere was lively, filled with the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses. I struck up a conversation with the bartender, Klaus, a burly man with a friendly demeanor. "Herr Fischer mentioned something about the Weissfrau," I said, hoping to learn more. Klaus's smile faded. "Ah, the Weissfrau. That's an old legend around here. Supposedly, she's the ghost of a noblewoman who roams the Quedlinburg castle. They say she appears to warn of impending death. Has anyone seen her recently?" I asked, intrigued. Klaus shrugged. "There are always stories. Some say they've seen her in the castle, others in the old streets at night. Most dismiss it as superstition, but..." He leaned in closer. "There have been disappearances." My curiosity was piqued. "Disappearances?" Klaus nodded. "People who claim to have seen her often vanish without a trace. It's as if the legend is more than just a story." The next day, I decided to visit the Quedlinburg Castle. The imposing structure loomed over the town, its ancient stones whispering secrets of the past. As I wandered through the dimly lit corridors, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. In one of the rooms, I felt a sudden drop in temperature. My breath became visible, and I heard a faint, sorrowful whisper, "Beware!" Startled, I turned, but there was no one there. Dismissing it as my imagination, I continued my exploration. Later, I met Anna, a local historian who was cataloging artifacts in the castle. "Did you hear that?" I asked, describing my experience. Anna's eyes widened. "You might have encountered the Weissfrau. Many have reported similar experiences. Do you believe in the legend?" I asked. Anna hesitated. "I believe there's some truth to it. The castle has a dark history, and there are records of sightings dating back centuries. If you're serious about uncovering the truth, I can help." Anna and I delved into the historical archives, poring over old documents and testimonies. The legend of the Weissfrau was consistent. She appeared before tragic events, her presence a harbinger of doom. "We need to find a pattern," Anna suggested, "something that links the sightings together." As we investigated, strange occurrences began to plague me. I would see fleeting glimpses of a woman in white out of the corner of my eye, hear whispers in the dead of night, and feel a cold presence in my room. My nights were filled with restless dreams, the Weissfrau haunting my every thought. One evening, while researching in the library, I came across an old diary belonging to a young woman named Liesel, who had disappeared in the 1800s. Her last entries spoke of seeing the Weissfrau and feeling an irresistible pull toward the castle. "Look at this," I showed Anna. Liesel describes the same experiences I've been having. Anna frowned. "This can't be a coincidence. We need to dig deeper into Liesel's life." As we continued our investigation, my condition worsened. The visions became more frequent, the whispers more insistent. The townspeople began to notice my erratic behavior, avoiding me in the streets. Even Anna grew concerned, urging me to take a break. "You're not well, David," she said gently. "Maybe we should stop for a while." "I can't," I insisted. "We're so close to uncovering the truth." My obsession with the Weissfrau consumed me. I spent sleepless nights piecing together fragments of information, convinced that I was on the verge of a breakthrough. One night, Anna revealed a personal connection to the legend. "My great-grandmother claimed to have seen the Weissfrau," she confessed. "She vanished shortly after. My family has always been haunted by this story." I realized then that the Weissfrau wasn't just a legend. She was a curse that spanned generations, and I was the latest victim. Determined to break the curse, Anna and I decided to confront the Weissfrau. We returned to the castle at dusk, the air thick with anticipation. In the dim light, the castle's shadows seemed to come alive, and the oppressive silence was broken only by our footsteps. In the main hall, we saw her. The Weissfrau stood, ethereal and hauntingly beautiful, her eyes filled with sorrow. She raised a hand, and the room grew cold. "Why are you here?" I demanded, my voice trembling. Her gaze pierced through me. "To reveal the truth." Suddenly, memories flooded my mind. Visions of a past life, where I was a nobleman in Quedlinburg. I had wronged the Weissfrau, leading to her untimely death. Her spirit had been bound to the castle, seeking justice for centuries. "David," Anna whispered, "you were part of this." The realization hit me like a tidal wave. I had been reincarnated, drawn back to Quedlinburg to face the consequences of my past actions. The Weissfrau's curse was not just a warning. It was a call for retribution. "I am sorry," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "I didn't know." The Weissfrau's expression softened. "Your remorse is what I needed. The curse can be lifted, but you must atone for your sins." In that moment, I understood. The disappearances, the sightings, all were manifestations of the unresolved pain and guilt. As I accepted my fate, the Weissfrau began to fade, her sorrowful eyes finally at peace. Back in the town, the atmosphere lightened, and the oppressive presence lifted. The legend of the Weissfrau would live on, but now as a tale of redemption and forgiveness. I arrived in Germany on a damp, foggy morning, the kind that clings to your skin and leaves you feeling perpetually cold. The plane touched down in a small town near the Black Forest, a place I'd read about in travel brochures but never imagined would hold such dark secrets. As a tourist, I was eager to explore the local culture, but little did I know, I was stepping into a living nightmare. That evening, I decided to explore the local tavern, a cozy establishment with wooden beams and a roaring fireplace. It was there I met Hans, a burly man with a booming laugh and a penchant for storytelling. Over a pint of local beer, he began to unravel the legend of the Black Forest. They say, Hans began, leaning in conspiratorially, that children used to disappear in the forest, not just wander off and get lost, mind you. They were taken by something unnatural. I raised an eyebrow. Taken? By what? Hans shrugged, his jovial demeanor darkening. No one knows for sure. Some say it was the spirits of the forest. Others believe it was a curse placed on the land. But the children were never found. Only their screams echoed through the trees. My intrigue grew with every word. Has anyone tried to find out the truth? A few brave souls, Hans admitted, but none returned with answers. Only more questions and a haunted look in their eyes. That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about the legend. What if there was some truth to it? What if I could uncover what really happened in those woods? The town itself was charming, with cobblestone streets and half-timbered houses that seemed to have been plucked straight from a fairy tale. The locals were friendly enough, though they all carried a certain wariness in their eyes. I checked into a quaint inn run by Frau Meller, an elderly woman with a kind smile but a somber demeanor. "Welcome to our town," she said, handing me the key to my room. "I hope you enjoy your stay. Just be careful around the forest." Her warning piqued my curiosity. "Why? Is there something I should know?" Frau Muller hesitated, her eyes darting to the window where the dense trees loomed ominously. "There are stories, old stories. The Black Forest holds many secrets. Some are better left undisturbed." As I unpacked in my room, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd stumbled into something far beyond a simple vacation. The following morning, the fog had lifted, revealing the dense expanse of the Black Forest in stark detail. Armed with a map and a sense of determination, I set out to explore the woods. The path was narrow, bordered by towering trees that seemed to close in around me, their branches forming a canopy that blocked out the sunlight. As I ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and an eerie silence enveloped the forest. I stumbled upon an old, abandoned cabin, its wooden structure weathered by time. Strange markings adorned the walls, symbols I couldn't decipher. Inside, the air was musty, and the floorboards creaked under my weight. Suddenly, a chill ran down my spine, and I turned to see a shadow flicker at the edge of my vision. I called out, but only the echo of my voice answered. Determined not to let fear get the better of me, I continued my exploration. I found an old journal, its pages yellowed and brittle, detailing strange rituals and sightings of ghostly figures. The words sent shivers down my spine. Just as I was about to leave, I heard a soft whisper, "Leave or suffer their fate." The voice was faint, almost ethereal. Panic surged through me, and I bolted from the cabin, my heart pounding in my chest. Once outside, I paused to catch my breath, the forest seeming to watch me with unseen eyes. Back in the town, I met Greta, a local historian who had spent years studying the legends of the Black Forest. She was intrigued by my findings and offered to help me piece together the mystery. Over coffee in a small cafe, she shared her knowledge. The legend of the disappearing children dates back to the 16th century, Greta explained. There was a series of disappearances that coincided with a plague sweeping through the region. The townspeople believed the forest was cursed. "Do you think there's any truth to it?" I asked. Greta hesitated, her eyes searching mine. "I don't know, but there are records of similar occurrences throughout history. Whatever is happening, it's been going on for centuries." Together, we pored over old documents and maps, uncovering a chilling pattern. The disappearances always occurred in the same area of the forest, near where I had found the cabin. Greta theorized that the markings I had seen were part of an ancient ritual meant to appease the spirits of the forest. As the days passed, strange occurrences began to plague me. Shadows moved in the corner of my vision, and whispers filled the night air. It felt as though the forest was trying to warn me, or perhaps lure me back. Sleep eluded me, and when I did manage to doze off, I was plagued by vivid nightmares. In one, I was a child, running through the forest, chased by unseen horrors. In another, I saw the faces of the missing children, their eyes hollow and filled with despair. Greta and I decided to venture deeper into the Black Forest, hoping to uncover more clues. As we walked, the forest grew darker, and the sense of foreboding intensified. We stumbled upon a clearing with an ancient stone altar, covered in moss and vines. The air was thick with an unspoken threat. "Look at this," Greta whispered, pointing to a series of carvings on the altar. "These symbols match the ones you saw in the cabin." Before we could examine them further, the ground beneath us trembled, and an unearthly wail echoed through the trees. Panic gripped us, but we forced ourselves to stay calm. We knew we were getting closer to the truth, but the forest was growing more dangerous with each step. That night, back in the town, the atmosphere was tense. The locals whispered of old evils awakening, and I felt a growing sense of dread. Whatever we had stirred in the forest was not pleased. Determined to confront the malevolent force, Greta and I returned to the forest at dawn. We reached the altar and began to decipher the symbols. They told a story of sacrifice and vengeance, of spirits wronged and seeking retribution. As we worked, a cold wind swept through the clearing, carrying with it a chorus of ghostly whispers. The ground around the altar began to crack, and dark, shadowy figures emerged from the earth. They were the spirits of the lost children, their faces twisted with anger and sorrow. "We have to finish this," Greta urged, her voice shaking. "We need to break the curse." In a desperate bid, we performed a ritual based on the journal's instructions. As we chanted, the spirits grew more agitated, but slowly, the air began to lighten, and the shadows receded. With one final, echoing wail, the spirits vanished, and the forest fell silent. Breathing a sigh of relief, we thought the nightmare was over. But as we left the forest, I felt an odd sense of unease. It was then that Greta revealed a shocking truth. The journal had mentioned a guardian, someone bound to the forest, tasked with keeping the spirits at bay. "John," she said softly, "I believe you are the guardian. Your arrival here wasn't a coincidence. The forest called you." The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. The forest hadn't just been warning me. It had been summoning me to fulfill a role I never knew existed. As the weight of my new responsibilities settled on my shoulders, I knew my life had changed forever. Back at the inn, Frau Muller greeted me with a knowing look. "You understand now, don't you?" she asked gently. I nodded, accepting my fate. The Black Forest had claimed me, not as a victim, but as its protector. The days following our encounter with the spirits were a blur. The townspeople treated me with a mix of reverence and fear, acknowledging my role as the new guardian of the Black Forest. Greta continued her research, and I often found myself helping her, drawn deeper into the mysteries of the forest. One evening, while sifting through old documents, Greta stumbled upon a cryptic entry in the journal. It mentioned a celestial event that aligned with the disappearances, hinting at something otherworldly. The more we read, the clearer it became. The Black Forest was more than just a haunted woods. It was a portal to another realm. Intrigued and unnerved, we decided to investigate further. The entry spoke of a specific location deep within the forest, a place where the fabric of reality was thin. We knew it was dangerous, but our curiosity outweighed our fear. Equipped with flashlights and determination, Greta and I ventured into the forest once more. The night was eerily quiet, the trees casting long, sinister shadows. We followed the journal's directions, our path illuminated by the pale glow of the moon. After hours of trekking, we arrived at a clearing unlike any other. In the center stood a stone circle, ancient and imposing. As we approached, the air hummed with energy, and a low, vibrating sound filled the clearing. "This must be it," Greta whispered, her eyes wide with awe and fear. We stepped into the circle, and the ground beneath us seemed to pulse with life. Suddenly, the symbols on the stones began to glow, and a beam of light shot up into the sky, opening a swirling vortex. From within, figures emerged, tall, ethereal beings with luminescent eyes. "Welcome, Guardian," one of them intoned, their voice resonating in my mind. "You have fulfilled your earthly duty, but your true journey begins now." I felt a strange sensation, as if my very essence was being pulled from my body. I looked down and saw my form becoming translucent, my feet no longer touching the ground. "What's happening?" I gasped, panic rising within me. Greta's eyes widened in horror. "John, you're disappearing." The beings extended their hands toward me, and suddenly everything made sense. The disappearances, the spirits, my connection to the forest. It was all part of a larger plan. I was never meant to stay in this world. As my vision blurred, I found myself transported to a place beyond imagination. It was a vast, otherworldly landscape, filled with vibrant colors and surreal structures. The beings who had brought me here stood before me, their expressions serene. "You are one of us," the leader said. "Long ago, you chose to incarnate as a human to guide and protect. Now, your mission is complete." Memories flooded back, fragmented images of a life before my human existence. I had volunteered to become a guardian, to bridge the gap between worlds and protect the balance. My earthly life was merely a phase, a temporary assignment. I turned to the beings. "What happens now?" "You will continue your journey," they replied. "There are many realms, many duties. Your experience as a guardian will serve you well." Back in the clearing, Greta watched in disbelief as I faded from sight. The vortex closed, leaving the forest eerily silent. She was left with the knowledge of a reality beyond comprehension and the responsibility to protect that secret. For me, the journey had just begun. As I embraced my true form, I felt a sense of purpose and peace. The Black Forest was a portal, a gateway to endless possibilities, and I was its eternal guardian, now and forever. Thank you for watching our stories. Did you enjoy it? What do you think could have happened next? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more stories based on real-life events, click on the video appearing on your screen now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling tales. See you in the next video.